In the beginning, there was hope. A new season, a new draft, a new chance for greatness. But this is the Mother Pluckin Syndicate, and hope doesn't last long here. Draft Day, the most magical time of the year. Adam strutted out of Draft Day with an A. Chris and Bo each nabbed an A-. Jess earned the lowest draft grade of D. As usual, bets fly. Jamie bet TJ that Dak Prescott would have more points scored than Jalen Hurts. He didn't. Jamie owes a hot sauce shot at the draft. Delish! Fueled by mimosas and whiskey and a recent binge of HBO's Hard Knocks, Jess bet Andy that the Bears would have a better season than the Cowboys. Despite being behind for half the season, the Cowboys rallied and finished 2 games up on the Bears. Nothing like a new tattoo to commemorate the true trauma of being a Bears fan. Andy also bet Bo that the Jets would win the AFC if Aaron Rodgers was healthy all season. This bet did not come to fruition since Aaron Rodgers is about as healthy as a small Victorian child. The beginning of the season went off with a bang. Justin's over the Tyreek Hill drops 154 points in Week 3. A true Monday Night Menace. A week later, he threw down 170 points and made Jamie his personal condiment packet. Jess kicked off the season bold, chaotic, and destined for heartbreak. Week 1 was every bit as messy as her draft grade predicted. 1 minute she looked like a genius, the next she was staring at her bench wondering if she'd accidentally rostered players from the CFL. It was a start that screamed, "This ride will not be smooth, but damn, it'll be entertaining." TJ rolled into the season like a vampire at dawn, sluggish, pale, and hissing at the sight of any actual points. For the first few weeks his roster looked less like a football team and more like a crypt full of lifeless corpses. Meanwhile, Jamie became everyone's good luck charm. Opponents dropped career weeks on him like it was a Make-A-Wish league. Mike began the season with the kind of confidence usually reserved for lottery winners and drunk karaoke singers. Week 1 his team strutted into the spotlight, flexing like it might actually belong among the contenders. By Week 2, Mike was back to his natural habitat, the fantasy basement. Tommy's Hurts When I PP spends 2 straight weeks as the highest scoring team, and then slugged Andy in the league's lowest scoring pillow fight, 92-72, during Week 3. Speaking of Andy, what a fall from grace for the reigning champion. From champ to chump in 3 short weeks and the lowest single-week total of the year after that matchup. And Adam? Failboat lived up to its name, taking losses like it was an Olympic sport. Draft Day said genius. Week 1 said Titanic reenactment. By midseason, injuries spread faster than gossip at a middle school dance. Chris's team looked less like a roster and more like the waiting room of an urgent care. Every week was a new injury report, a new excuse, and a new team name. Bob, the fantasy serial killer, smacked TJ in Week 2, ruined Jamie in Week 3, and later targeted Justin's playoff run like Jeffrey Dahmer with a waiver wire. He ruins seasons like he's got heads in his freezer. And he probably does. Jess's team was the fantasy version of Katy Perry. Hot 1 week, cold the next, and always leaving the crowd a little confused. Opponents never knew which Jess they were getting, the Juggernaut or the accidental bye week. Celso got pants by Tommy in Week 9, eating a 50-point beatdown that sent him straight to therapy. But true to his brand as the league's human yo-yo, he bounced back the very next week as the top scorer, delivering a 59-point blowout. Every opponent that lined up against Jamie magically turned into the 85 Bears. He wasn't just losing, he was absorbing the absolute best games of everyone else's rosters, like some kind of cursed fantasy sponge. Didn't matter who he played, benchwarmers became all-pros, kickers dropped 20-point bombs, and defenses scored like they'd been possessed. Tommy was steamrolling through lineups like he had a cheat code. Every Sunday it was the same story, Hurts dropping bombs, Jefferson torching secondaries, and his opponents left wondering why they even logged in. It was less fantasy football and more Tommy's weekly highlight reel, and the rest of the league was just stuck as unpaid extras. Justin's squad had settled into this unnerving rhythm of a steady, merciless drumbeat of wins. While other teams rode roller coasters of injuries, bad beats, and desperate waiver wire prayers, Justin just kept taking teams out with his one-man wrecking ball. Bo's mid-season was less to infinity and beyond and more to mediocrity and beyond. He wasn't crashing, but he sure as hell wasn't soaring either, just floating in that gray area where every week looked like a coin flip. With 3 weeks left, the playoff picture was a WWE Royal Rumble of mediocrity. Jess was hanging on via attempting lineup sorcery mid-brunch trying to secure a playoff spot. Chris learned that CMC stands for Can't Make Contests. Bob continued to do what he does best, knocking teams out of contention like a fantasy Grim Reaper. Celso hung around the playoff picture the way a cockroach hangs around a kitchen, not because he was strong, but because the environment was just that bad. His division was such a tire fire that even with a losing streak, he was still mathematically alive. In the end, TJ's biggest role in the playoff picture was making things messy for everyone else, the fantasy equivalent of tossing banana peels onto the track. Tommy was the first to bag a playoff spot, and he did it with all the subtlety of a frat boy doing a keg stand. While the rest of the league was sweating over tiebreakers and math equations, Tommy was already chilling with his feet up, sipping a beer, and penciling in his championship parade. The MPS West only had one team with a winning record in the final week pre-playoffs. Justin kept racking up wins until one day you looked up and realized he was sitting at the top of the trash pile like a king on a throne of mediocrity. Then came the playoffs. Egos were bruised, tears were shed, lineups were set, poorly. Bob, shockingly, missed his chance to serial kill someone in the finals, which probably means his freezer's full. Tommy marched into the playoffs looking like the unstoppable juggernaut. And then fantasy football did what it always does, laughed in his face. After weeks of domination, his team choked when it mattered most. The highest scoring team of the year finished fourth. Everybody hurts. Sometimes. And not just when they pee-pee. Justin rolled into the playoffs like the guy who actually reads the IKEA instructions. Calm, methodical, and building wins piece by piece. But just when it looked like he might assemble the perfect championship run, he was a screw short. Justin recovered from his own early playoff flop to beat Tommy for third place. The fantasy Super Bowl came down to Jamie versus Andy. Best friends turned mortal enemies, squaring off with bragging rights on the line. Andy, the reigning champ, strutted in like he was about to cement a dynasty. Jamie? He stumbled in with an 8-8 record and the chaotic energy of a man who brought a squirt gun to a knife fight. And yet, somehow, the squirt gun was enough. The league's villain arc was complete. The Mustard Man became a two-time champ, while Andy was left staring at his roster like it had personally betrayed him. He also prevented Andy from hitting another first, a back-to-back MPS championship. Turns out the TISM was terminal Bo, and Jess were stuck in the world's saddest sideshow, the Lil Pecker Championship. It wasn't about greatness, it was about avoiding total humiliation. Bo clutched that tiny chicken trophy of victory, while Jess was left wondering how the hell running the league still didn't earn her immunity from the basement bracket. Mike and Adam duked it out for last place, and while Adam's failboat could be seen sinking deeper than the fucking Mariana Trench, Mike's dumpster fire of a team became this year's Jive Turkey. Neither roster looked like it wanted to win. It was less a football game and more a contest to see who could embarrass themselves slower. Congratulations to Jamie, Colonel Mustard himself, on snagging his second championship ring. Jamie's already out here rewriting league history, claiming a mythical third title that exists only in his imagination, the first ever self-awarded fantasy championship. But hey, when you're the villain and the champ, facts are optional. This is the Mother Pluckin Syndicate, where the beer is cold, the bets are stupid, and the shame lasts forever.